I feel like we don't even have a session now because AI just took over, and we know what the future is going to hold already. So thank you to the glasses and all the AI bots. This is a really exciting session for us today. So as you heard earlier, I think you heard from Captivate, which is our sister company. No, we're not. But we love each other, and we work together, and we plan on working together in the future. But I thought it would be good to give you guys a little information on who Captivate is. So as noted, I'm the CRO of Captivate. Captivate is the #1 on-the-go news and entertainment premium video network, reaching influential audiences where they live and work. And obviously where we know business decisions are being made, as well as consumer decisions. I was talking earlier to somebody saying, like, if we now work where we live and live where we work, and so while we were office at our premium thing that we were doing, obviously COVID changed that significantly. Luckily, we had already really invested significantly in residential to find some of those same audiences where they live. So now you can see us there. The other place that you now can find Captivate is within college campuses. So reaching people before they hit the office and start work. So that's a little bit about Captivate. More importantly, we have an amazing panel of folks today. So I'm going to do a brief introduction to each of you, and then we'll get into the questions. So Kevin Frisch, who's in the middle, I'll start with Kevin. Kevin is a tech marketing executive. He has led marketing efforts for some of the biggest companies we all know and love, like Uber. Most recently, he was the VP of growth at Intuit. He ran all of QuickBooks go-to-market. Kevin is currently consulting companies on how to transform their marketing teams, capabilities, and fully leverage the power of AI, while also spending a little bit more time at home with family and as well as focused on wellness and health. As a matter of fact, Kevin's going to be doing an Ironman, so he's a better man than I am when it comes to that.
Training for an Ironman. Yes, I will be doing it. April in Oceanside.
You're fully in, especially since we said it in this room. It's a reality.
Yeah.
I also have Amit Joshipura. He's the director of global marketing at Philips. Amit has an extensive background in healthcare tech and product marketing at companies like Dexcom and Fitbit, which now is a part of Google. He is particularly interested in the ethical applications of AI as it relates to technologies and solutions that save lives and or improve the quality of people's lives. So I'm really excited to hear from you today. And last but certainly not least is Namrata Sinha. She is the Director of Consumer Experience and eCommerce at BSH Home Appliances, the leader in luxury appliances you likely want in your home. They are like Bosch and Thermador and Gaggenau. She has an extensive background in digital innovation and consumer marketing at companies like Western Digital and Ford Motors. So a really interesting panel of folks today who can talk across multiple industries as it relates to AI. And we're focused on the data-driven decisioning. But before we do that, I think first and foremost, let's ask kind of an icebreaker question, which I'd love to know everyone on this panel's first use of AI that they can think of. So I will start with Amit at the end.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that came to mind is I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, which is probably begs the question, why do I work in healthcare? And so I am always tracking the latest apps that can diagnose what you might have, which is equally great and innovative and probably equally dangerous. But I had like a questionable mole-like feature on my face. And so I found this app that you can take a picture and it basically, you send it to you send it through a system and it basically will curate through millions of already diagnosed skin issues and give you the most likely issue. And so it saved me a lot of hours of or days of sleepless night where I thought I might have had cancer or something like that. So yeah, I think that was like my first experience of how a system can basically, through machine learning, sift through a litany of images and preconceived patterns and give you an immediate response. So, yeah.
I'm glad your mole was okay.
The
story could have ended very differently.
We're all safe and sound, and hope to have many years of good life. But yeah, there was a moment there. Thank you, AI.
Yeah, Kevin.
So wow, I'm trying to think of a different answer after that one. ChatGPT came out is late November 2022, right around review time. And my first use was writing reviews for my teams because at Intuit, it's very matrixed. And so for each direct report you have, you end up talking to like 10 different people to get feedback. So you have like, 6 or 7 direct reports, 70 feedbacks. So just dumped that onto ChatGPT and generated like reviews, which I then read and edited and modified. I didn't just send them out. But it's just a really nice use, right? I think it captured it and probably reduced some of the bias I would have had by like, oh yeah, this is how I feel. So it was actually, saved me a lot of time and I think produced some good results.
Cool. Well, I would quote a personal use. I'm a garden enthusiast, and I put a lot of effort on my gardening, and I'm proud of my gardening skills. But one particular plant was just not showing the results despite all my efforts. So one of those AI app, which was used to detect what the disease was on the plant in order to bring some of those efforts to make it fruitful. And I think it worked too. So I think that was my personal experience with the AI tool. On a very professional basis, I think I did exactly what you did there, Kevin. So we in fact developed an in-house AI tool to consolidate all of our NPS data and bring some of the greatest summary out of it. It was a manual effort in the past, so that was automated through this AI tool.
Wonderful. And if you don't, for me, I can't recall the first thing, but if you don't recognize that person up there on screen, it's because she is also AI. And I've been told earlier that she's probably out there fishing people in the marketplace because other people can use it. So moving on to our panel question. So I want to start, and Kevin, I'll probably start with you here. I'll shift this question a bit for each of you. But what are some of the biggest trends and themes that you're seeing, and key impacts that AI is having on marketing today?
Look, there's so many lists. I think the personal productivity is one. I think obviously content generation, like zillions of variations, optimizations. But the one I find kind of most interesting holistically is the shift from essentially, rule-based segmentation to AI-generated personalization, and all the other things that AI does that allow us to do this. And I think, not in all industries, not in all cases, I think this concept of segmentation, which you needed to have, because like, well, I have 4 different creatives and 3 different offers and so, okay, which segment gets what? Like, you start to not need segments because you don't need this simplification because you have 5,000 different versions of your creative and different this and different that. So you get this true personalization, which I think is going to be very exciting. The other one that I am seeing some of, which I'm excited about, is the ability to do analysis, right? You think about kind of all these analytics teams and trying to access them. Hey, what's going on? Is this a problem? I'm seeing this in this dashboard. AI's ability to start to synthesize all the data from around the organization, say, yeah, that's a real problem versus no, that's just a blip, is another exciting trend.
Mm-hmm. I liked what you had said when we had our phone call. You said there's a shift from rule-based decisioning to algorithms, and a shift from moving from audience segments right to individuals, and putting customer centricity at the middle of that. So that was a great thought. I think from Namrata, it'd be great to hear from a consumer marketing standpoint some of the biggest impacts you're seeing, and maybe elaborate on the consumer side of how it's impacting the brands.
Completely. I will just build on what Kevin mentioned here, the personalization. I think the whole concept of personalization, taking it to the next level with the help of AI, is also bringing a better engagement from the consumer side. Brands are benefiting with a higher consumer loyalty, better recommendation to the consumer needs, and also a better ROI. A shift in how we plan our marketing strategies, which are much more personalized to the consumer needs, meeting the consumer where they are, what they want, at what time they need it, is where the brands are benefiting with AI.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Amit, so interesting. Healthcare, health tech, something you've been doing for a long time, is shifting, I would imagine, exponentially. It's one of the industries we know is going to shift the most. How are you seeing that from a B2B standpoint of the business, for marketing, as well as just generally for healthcare and health tech?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're very lucky to have with the internet is, we call it Dr. Google. There's so much information that patients, health advocates, and anyone who's interested in improving their health, what they can bring to the table when they talk to a physician or a nurse or even another health enthusiast, they can become so knowledgeable with all the search that you can do and all the information that's out there. I think as companies, what we try to do is we do have programs that do social listening to understand, what are people searching, what are they trying to learn about in terms of conditions or issues, and that we can then score and qualify in terms of active leads that we can then pass through a curated, nurture campaign, or something that we can go directly to physicians and give them a very highly intentional audience that wants to learn about the device or technology or medication that we're trying to market. I think AI, though, does allow us to ensure that it's not just noise, because healthcare is still very much a human. I mean, every industry, it has a human element, but healthcare is a very human industry, because it's used by humans, but also a lot of it's delivered by humans in our physicians and our nurses. And so the last thing we want is to inundate them with a lot of what we call white noise of people that might just be, doing kind of random searches, but are not actually intending to leverage the technology or the product that we want to put in their hand. And so AI allows us, in companies that are becoming nascent and new in the space, helping us make sure all that social noise is actually pre-qualified. We're able to track searches, several different searches. We're able to see that they're seriously trying to determine if this is something they want to go down the path of, and actually connect with a technology or a company that can provide them with the tool. And so we're doing our physicians a favor. We're doing our health delivery folks a favor by ensuring that whoever comes to the table is a hot, qualified lead through these programs that can do that type of triaging and categorization, which I think is crucial. I think the last thing I'll say too is that we also want to help our physicians reach patients or other users of health products that were normally inaccessible. We're doing a lot of work. I did at Google, I did at Dexcom, and now at Philips, where we can truly understand what are people's economic issues, financial issues, and do a better job of ensuring that they're still getting something meaningful out of, whether it's a wearable or a device that is used in the hospital, where have you. Where we're able to just, again, more intelligently match the person who provides the service with the person who can receive it, and remove any barriers so that people don't get frustrated, because the last thing you want is people trying to get things that they can't afford. It just makes the system more frustrating. So all of that is empowering marketers to be much more efficient and more effective with how we get our message across and how we get build our user base.
Namrata, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay.
How is AI helping brands become smarter as you're reaching out to your consumer through, I guess, marketing, whether it's email or any of those kinds of transactions, or just generally to speak to your consumer through your marketing?
I will build on where the earlier panel ended, and I think, Kevin, you also slightly touched upon the predictive analysis. I think that's groundbreaking. This is where the marketing is going into. We have started doing some of it in a very small way. It's a learning curve for us, but again, it all goes down to what the consumer needs. Where do we meet the customer? How do we anticipate their needs? Rather than being reactive, how can we be more proactive in meeting the customer? So we are coming from a home appliance company where people do not change their home appliances or buy home appliances on a daily basis. So we have a very, very long purchase cycle. We use AI not only in the pre-purchase phase or the purchase phase, but also in the post-purchase phase. And that's where the customer lifetime value is very, very important for us. And we want to keep the customer in our fold, in our area, for a very long time. When I say long time, it might last 7 to 10 years. And then we want that customer to come back and buy our own products rather than going to a competitor. So it takes a lot of effort. We have been doing very well even without AI, but can we do better with AI? And that's where the question lies. And post-purchase phase is also very, very important, where I think a lot of work has not been done yet. Most of the focus is driving the customer towards the purchase cycle, which is important. We do want the customer to buy. So I think it's a balance between both the sides, and we as a company are focusing on both the areas of it.
And since you are doing some test and learn there right now, have you been looking at extensive modeling prior versus AI to understand where it's netting out for you?
Yes, we are. There are very specific KPIs where we are testing. So it's not like we have changed everything and we are very successful with everything. It's test and learn. So we are testing with small data modeling and seeing how the impact are, how the KPIs are netting before and after, and that's how the adoption will go on.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, you want to take the same question?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I can give an example of kind of what we did at Intuit. On the QuickBooks side, everyone comes in basically buying accounting. QuickBooks is not just accounting. I want to emphasize that. Lots of other running your business products. And then we try to cross-sell them. And historically, that cross-sell is pretty simple. It's like, hey, why don't you try payroll? Oh, why don't you try payroll again? Hey, actually, what about invoicing, right? And so we combined these models and then started using AI to become increasingly intelligent. It's like, okay, we have 19 different products. What is the person doing right now? And therefore, what product should we talk about them? Okay, let's get the history into the AI system. It's like, okay, well, we tried this message. This is how they reacted. So you get this continuous, again, nearly infinite personalization. Everyone is getting a different experience based on what the model is understanding. It is funny, though, your question had the word smarter in it. And I often, as marketers, like, we're giving a better customer experience, right? They're getting more of what they want, and the message is, we never spam people, but the message is, more relevant, right? And that's really good. And the system as a whole is getting smarter. But as an individual marketer, the models don't always tell you the why. You can see what they're doing, but you start to, in a way, lose the, hey, so why did you make that change? Well, it's working, but you don't always know exactly why because the model's just doing it. So the explainability of your action starts to go away. And I think, when we look at the future, as marketers and as people who sort of talk to marketers like CEOs, we're all going to need to get more comfortable with, we can't always explain the why of what had happened because it's just optimizing based on things that, like, we can't truly, in a way, understand or sort of in our very linear thinking. So I think that'll be an interesting trend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think what I've seen done well, and it's every company uses marketing and the function of marketing kind of in different ways. But I think in tech marketing, what I always push is that we should be brought in from, like, the inception of the technology that we're trying to sell, from the very beginning. I mean, my take is marketing. The keyword in marketing is market. We are the owners, and we are obsessed about how our customers behave, how they engage with our technology, how they buy it, what is the customer journey mapping in terms of when they discover our technology to when they purchase it, and who they interface with it, all those different touch points. And so I think we're obsessed at the companies I've been at to make sure that when we define user needs of how we design, like I said, a wearable or a sensor or whatever product that we're trying to sell, a toothbrush, which is what I do now with Philips, that when they design a product, that we're thinking about how will they engage with it, how will they purchase it, how will the campaigns be built. That should be infused in how the technology is created, so that if there's ever an app experience that is going to provide notifications, that it all kind of creates that uniform experience, so that everything is supporting itself to allow the user to have a fantastic experience and drive more demand and awareness of what we're providing them, which I think is crucial. So as much as we can be pulled in from the inception of how the device is designed, what are the features, and then always knowing, what is top of mind of how they're using it and why they're using it, will kind of always be front and center with how we build our iterations of whatever we're building, I think is crucial. And so that has been very helpful. I think someone said earlier, like, humans still are at the helm of AI. We always tell our customers, our physicians or dentists, whoever is using a product, some of them get nervous about AI removing them from the equation. And we said, your job will not be taken by AI. Your job will be taken by someone who knows how to use AI. And so we are obsessed about making sure that we know how to find or harmonize the perfect blend of machine learning or AI or algorithms, but also with the human touch of what marketing can bring, right? I'll give an example of, like, so one thing we noticed at Fitbit that was trending differently was where our devices were being bought online, and it was shifting from what our typical user base had been 10 years ago of a athlete or a physical enthusiast, like someone trying to train for an Ironman, who wants to track everything. In the last 5 years, we've noticed that our entire demographic has shifted from women, males to females. So we're now 70%, or we were, I'm not there now, but we're now 70% female, 30% male, and the two inflection points in a woman's life that is causing them to want to go and re-engage with the wearable is either after a pregnancy, which we noticed from buying on certain mother websites or getting a lot of traction from certain mother blogs, or a woman who has recently gotten divorced and is living like her 2.0 life, and trying to reclaim her womanhood, if you will, and so to know that, both by data, but then also understanding kind of the nuances of how life works, you're really able to kind of build that amazing campaign that is fueled by the AI data, but then also has that humanness, if that makes sense, that would have maybe been lost if we didn't have someone coming in, a female CMO, that kind of appreciated what it's like for a woman to go through a divorce and then realize that there's a big part of her identity that is being recreated, and a lot of that is around her physicality, which we wanted then double hook into. So all of that kind of shows how AI is used both, technically, but then also with that human undertone.
Yeah. And interesting. We will not be surveying the room for Fitbits after this to see where you're at in your life stage, but very interesting. I guess, you spoke to something I think is interesting, which was just around performance. At Captivate, what's great is we have the ability to study panels of people within our locations, like C-suites and business decision makers. So we did a panel right before we came here, a panel study to figure out how many people were investing in AI in the next 12 months. And what we found is 62%, as naturally you could imagine, of our business decision makers are going to be investing in AI or considering investments in AI in the next 12 months, and up to $30,000. So I guess for the companies you serve, outside of just product marketing, are you testing and learning tools when it comes to better performance? And where does that hit across your organization? I'll let you start.
Yes, it is. We are testing in small ways and in all areas, not only making our operationally more effective, but can this be brought into product innovations, marketing operations? And I think that's the biggest one. Predictive analysis will be the next one. I would also like to bring in, since I am also responsible for e-commerce, this will be groundbreaking. This is already becoming groundbreaking on the e-commerce industry. All those during shopping journeys where the customer would leave a shopping cart because they were not so confident about making that final hit on the button, is now being handled through those chatbots and virtual assistants who can answer those queries or doubts in customers' mind in real time and help convert or make that conversion cycle. So we are implementing those very customized chatbots and virtual assistants who would be there at that shopping cart journey. In the past, we have all received emails about there's something left in your shopping cart. Well, there will be a transition. We have been doing that, but I would rather move away from that and answer that question to the customer. What can I do for you so that you click that button and complete the sale? So those are those real initiatives that are already in place.
Very good. Kevin?
Yeah, just zoom out a little bit. One of the debates kind of that, I'm talking to some companies about is, to what extent is there sort of a centralized, here's how we're approaching AI, this is the tool, almost like, I don't want to call it an RFP process because that sounds very un-AI-like, but how much is it being driven centralized versus like, hey, everyone, just go for it. And, I think there's a couple of things. First, there seems to be a general consensus that if you try to hold it centrally, you will go way, way too slowly. So there's like, okay, how do we enable individual managers, individual teams at whatever level to do this? And what I've seen is there are two things. First, there's definitely some guardrails as to here's the things you can do, here's you can't. And then there's a bit of a distinction between like, if you're using AI for something internal, it's much, whatever, do what you want to. If you're going to sort of use AI kind of on, with swipe your own credit card and do it to sort of tweak some media and some creative you're doing, there's a little more constraints on that. So, but I guess my point is like a lot of thought is being given to how do we make sure we adopt this quickly as an organization without sort of running into too much risk. And that's just a very, again, with these new technologies, interesting how to kind of do that given the need for urgency.
So I think, one thing that I've noticed where companies sometimes get in their own way or trip up on the AI application is, I think, first of all, defining like what is your objective in using AI. Like everyone's got a different understanding of what is AI and why they want to use it for their specific function. And so, and at times that can be conflicting or at odds, and that can cause, quite a bit of chaos. I'll use the time again at Fitbit where we and a lot of companies are bringing AI in their customer service organization. They're trying to, expedite call times and allow people to go online and chat with an intelligent chatting chat feature that can handle 80-90% of what are the typical problems, and you don't have to have a human that is there, handling that issue. So of course, that group is trying to reduce call times, trying to improve NPS, trying to, ensure customers are happy with the service we're giving them. On the flip side too, we have an operations team that is also trying to manage inventory with an AI tool that also ensures that we're not carrying too much product, or excessive product, and our demand is meeting our supply, et cetera. And so what can happen is if you're trying to streamline and make efficient your exchanges, but then also on the other side trying to manage inventory hold and dissemination, those can sometimes become conflicting, if you will, or maybe if the two groups haven't aligned to what they think is the right metric or KPI of what is successful in applying AI, you might end up having groups that are trying to do things that will again cause issues. And so I think what some companies are doing is they're building like a center of excellence or a centralized group that governs, the AI use and ensures that everyone has a working aligned definition of why we want it, what is the true essence of what we're trying to achieve with this, and as much trying to decide what isn't worth the AI in the journey, if you will, and where certain things probably can be left untouched and where other things can use this acceleration. So that's, I think, the best way to police the use of this, because it can get rather unwieldy because it can become self-learning and smarter than you, which is good, but can also cause issues.
Yeah, it's funny. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, one of the things you said just made me thought, like, one of the questions, some guys like, what does my marketing organization end up looking like once AI comes in? And, there's how you're organized is one thing. And then there's also like, what are the types of people you're going to have? And, there was some research and I did some work to like, do marketers and their capabilities end up changing? And I used AI to sort of look at the capabilities and then match it with job descriptions that are out there. And it turns out, it seems like there will be again, this is a prediction, more and more marketers will basically have the profile of what your analytics managers look like, right? It's kind of a little more technical, a little more knowing how to manage and use tools, and a little less, in a way, craft expertise. Yeah. So when you think about marketing organizations and who you're hiring, what that looks like in the next 5 years, it's probably shifting towards that. It's just a kind of an interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going to add, like within our company also, what Amit mentioned, we have created an AI panel with representation from all departments. And of course, marketing is there and legal has a big representation there. But we are all given the task to look into our own areas to identify if there is a need. I mean, not everybody has to jump on the bandwagon. So if there is a need present to the team, for marketing, we are more focused outward rather than inward, except for some of those content creation or video or creative. But my team at least is more involved in looking at the customer experience. How can we bring new tools that can enhance the customer experience? And yeah.
I don't think we have time for questions, but I think, do we have time for one question, or one question, if anyone has a question in the audience?
Thank you all for your insights today. Wanted to know, I guess, from more of like the higher level brand decision making, sort of the emotion based, is there a way to kind of use AI or data driven decision making? Have you seen, what are your thoughts of kind of using AI and data to make those types of decisions that are really gut check decisions of I'm in the market, but this brand versus X brand? Do you have any insights into how that's evolved with this new AI and data driven technology?
I can speak to some of the stuff in Intuit. The AI also sort of started to learn the tone for how to talk, so how to relate the messages to individuals. So this is an overall brand campaign, but hey, what's the right tone to use? Is it more of an urgency? Is it more of a, hey, I'm kind of helping you out? So even the tone of a given message started to evolve based on sort of the behaviors we're seeing.
I would say, I mean, I think, you know, there will always be a human element to marketing, and you know, we are feeling-bodied creatures. You know, we still respond to, we still make decisions based on emotions, and so I think to think that all of that can be done via data and you know, a machine giving you the right answer is never going to fully happen. I will say, I think one thing that AI does do is it can allow you to quickly pivot or kind of recalibrate if a campaign you've done is not performing the way you want to. So I think, you know, you hear about some of these like big mishaps in marketing that where, you know, a company really misread their audience or kind of fumbled on a campaign. I would think that now we can, you know, quickly do a pilot or kind of like a sandbox of an experiment and decide, because we get data right away, right? AI will always bring us the, you know, engagement data, attachment data, retention data, and then we can quickly pivot. So I think we'll still make decisions on a gut, but because of AI, we can likely pivot or recalibrate because we get data a lot quicker, and so we won't have as many of those fumbled campaigns per se.
And you can make the change quicker in terms of the creative as well, right? It's like you don't need to reshoot a whole ad. You can just like change some of the words, sort of have it be less, you know, more effective.
Wonderful. And I will hang around. So if anyone has more questions, we'll get those answered. But I know there's a panel coming up. So thank you so much. Thank you.